If you saw our 50-minute video and introduction to World of Darkness and thought, oh my god, there's 50 minutes? A horde of vampires and werebeasts is beating down my door now! Then do we have the video for you? It's only 36 pages, how hard can it be? First off, let us say that this truncated guide is no replacement for the actual Chronicles of Darkness book, but we do hope that it will whet your taste buds enough to get you to look into the system more and get more people playing this very enjoyable, dark, grim horror game. In this video, we are going to try and tell you as much as we can in 10 minutes or less, using the vanilla character sheet as a guide. If you'd like something a little more in-depth, then check out that video we mentioned earlier, and let's get on to step 1. Concept. This section of the book opens with the phrase, "The Chronicles of Darkness, on the surface, is a world much like our own." Which, given the events of 2020, I can't even make a joke about. The idea of concept basically boils down to this. This is a person, not a set of numbers, so let's start there. The book recommends keeping it to a simple phrase, such as, FBI agent obsessed with the childhood disappearance of his sister. A high school student that is the most recent in a long line of monster hunters. Jack-of-all-trades civilian consultant to the FBI on paranormal investigations that finds out that the man that you thought was your father actually kidnapped you from his double, who was your real father in the alternate universe that you were secretly from. You know, keep it simple. This includes your aspirations. What does your character want? To find your sister? To pass algebra while keeping Sunnydale safe? To get revenge on your alternate universe dad for kidnapping you? In reality, most concepts and aspirations will be much simpler. Somewhere between the above and medical researcher on her lunch break wants to go get a sandwich from that place downtown. Step 2. Anchors. Once you have your concept in place, you can move on to the why of your character. Anchors are something that's likely going to change if you end up playing something other than a vanilla mortal, but generally they are a variation of the following. Vices and virtues. The core things that make your character themselves, that they find the most important or that tempt them the worst. Their driving components. In previous versions of this game, these were broken down into the heavenly virtues and vices, but in the Chronicles of Darkness, these became more open to your interpretation. Taking a look at our earlier examples from Step 1, the FBI agent's vice of obsession, the Vampire Slayer's virtue of love or community, and Peter Bishop, well, there's a lot to unpack there. But as you can see, these don't necessarily still have to follow the biblical definitions. Step 3. Attributes. Okay, now that we've got a whopping sentence to describe you, and we know what you're willing to do for a Klondike bar, it is time to get into the first level of the how. Character attributes are the base level of a description of your mental, physical, and social stats. Further, each of these gets a power, finesse, and a resistance stat. You get 1 dot in every attribute to start, and then 5, 4, or 3 dots to distribute between the sections depending on what you want to prioritize. Let's take a look back at our concepts from earlier. The FBI agent obsessed with the truth being out there. This character, let's call him Rocks Boulders, is fairly intelligent, able to connect the dots of vast conspiracies, so we'll put his 5 dots in mental attributes. He's an FBI special agent, so can likely hold his own in a fight, so the 4 will go in physical. However, his constant delving into the impossible rubs his superiors and most romantic opportunities the wrong way, so the lowest dot addition, the 3, will be added to his social skills. Let's move on to Step 4, Select Skills. Like those bad boys in Step 3, we're going to go ahead and split this category into 3 easy-to-remember subcategories. Brain stuff, body stuff, that sounded weirder than intended, people stuff. Unlike the attributes, because these aren't necessarily natural parts of your personality, you don't get the +1 starting to each section. What you get instead are a primary skill set that you can spend 11 dots on, a secondary skill set that you can spend 7 dots on, and a tertiary skill you can spend 4 dots on. Additionally, there are penalties here to attempting skills that you do not know about. And here's where it gets a little weird. It's a -1 to social and physical stats that you don't know, and a -3 to any mental stats that you don't know, which is totally fine, but I can tell you that as someone not skilled in either of these things, I'm going to have a hell of a lot of an easier time guessing where someone left their keys versus trying to pick a lock and break and enter. Before we think too much about that example, let's talk about what these mean. 1 dot is a cursory training. You've tried it at some point. 2 dots is the ability to perform the task at a professional level. 3 and beyond means you are damn good at whatever that is. Each of these dots represent a die, but if you don't have any dots or die in a skill, even with the minuses, you can roll a chance die to see if you got some dumb luck. This is another chance to expand your character and really build out their personality and life experience. Your vampire slayer probably has some dots in occult and athletics due to her passion and calling, but did you know she also has a couple dots in computers from having to wrap her head around a cerebral microchip implanted to stop a vampire from harming humans? Well, now you're starting to feel a little more well-rounded. Diving deeper, we hit step 5, skill specifications. Similar to how skills are a category of attributes, skill specifications are a niche category within a skill. Except now, instead of splitting it up into some menial list, you can basically be specialized in anything, because they're just blanks you can fill out. This basically gives you an extra die if you interact with the specific of the skill your character is good at. Are you good at crafts? Well, what kind of crafts are you best at? Oh, woodworking. Well, what kind of woodworking are you best at? Oh, well, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and you can make it as specific as you want, but I would say maybe leave it a little surface so that you're not so tied in that you never get to use it. Step 6, merits, where skills get funky. Merits are stuff that you're good at that they went, should this be a skill? And then said, nah, because either it's too cool to just let anyone grab or too weirdly specific to make sense in writing. But they still thought to classify it versus the blanks from step 5 that you can just sort of make up. You get 7 dots to spend on merits out of the gate, which can range in cost from 1 dot for something like direction sense, where you always know your general location and which direction is which, to 3 dots for something as game-breaking as common sense, where you can basically just turn directly to your game master and say, what the fuck am I doing here? To 5 dots in things like resources or professional training, which are both sliding scales like regular skills to say how much you have of each. Often, these have prereqs and skills or ability scores, so make sure you wrapped up your Gen Ed requirements in Resolve before you take Tolerance for Biology, if you want to build a character that isn't bothered by blood in a horror-based game. Last but not least in our character creation is step 7, determine advantages. The final step in creating your character, which is also the easiest because you now have no more actual choices to make. This stuff is everyone's favorite subject. Math. Willpower. Resolve plus composure. Do not eat the chocolate bar for breakfast. Willpower is one of the more important of these advantages, as mortal characters can use it to gamble to get bonuses on rolls, depending on your system. More on this to come. Integrity. The easiest math, you get a 7. All mortal characters get a 7. Congrats. Size. Now don't make that joke. It's an easy joke, we're going to leave that on the bottom shelf. Size for an adult human is 5. However, you can take the giant merit in the previous section to bump this up. We'll talk about why you'd want to do this in a merits breakdown video down the line. Health. Size plus stamina. So once again, do not dump your con score. And now you have a character. This is only the base character build for a mortal within the Chronicles of Darkness system. If you're playing a vampire, a werewolf, a demon, or something even more bizarre, then you'll have more info in our vids to come. But if you're playing a vanilla human, then we'll come up with a tagline eventually. Good luck.